Well, hey there, everybody. Welcome back to the channel, or if you are new, welcome to Larry's House of Hockey. Hope you guys are having a decent Saturday. And finally getting back around to my memorable playoff series. I'm up to 1996. Now, again, we're getting into some of these where there's more than one that's memorable. Because picking this one, I could have very easily picked the Western Conference Final. But I decided for this one, I wanted to pick the Eastern Conference Final, just mainly because of a first. The first time these guys ever made an appearance in the Stanley Cup Final. Now, yes, I am wearing I've got my old school Florida Panther jersey with the this past year's finals patch on it, which I know that could be considered a fashion faux pas. But I don't think I have another one of these. If I had another one of these, I would get the 96 one put on that one. I don't think I have a second one. I've got to try to maybe find one. But this was their first trip, their first of three Stanley Cup Finals berths that they have had, and this one it was a special deal because this was a team that nobody really thought was going to do much. It was their third season. Nobody, I mean, just kind of like the Minnesota Wild, when the Wild came in and in their third season, they made it all the way to the Western Conference Final. The Florida Panthers, they made it all the way to the Stanley Cup Final. Now, this is the year that I graduated high school, my senior year in high school, which is another reason why this made this series so memorable, was the fact that I graduated high school this year. And it was something that nobody really expected. Nobody expected this run from the Florida Panthers. So I thought I would look at the Eastern Conference Final. Now, they played the Pittsburgh Penguins. Now, the Penguins, of course, Mario Lemieux, Jaromir Jagr, Tom Barrasso in goal. The Penguins, we thought that Lemieux and Jagr were going to get a crack at a third cup, which that would have made a very interesting final. It would have made a very interesting final if the Colorado Avalanche would have played the Pittsburgh Penguins, because you would have had Joe Sakic, Peter Forsberg, and like Patrick Waugh going against Mario Lemieux, Jaromir Jagr, Tom Barrasso. This Penguin team was loaded. It was a darn good Penguins team. Now, we take a look at the records, though, here. We got an 82-game season. We only had, two seasons where it was 84 games. Then we went back to 82. The Florida Panthers, in 82 games, finished with a record of 41, 31, and 10. So 92 points. 92 points gets them into the playoffs. And whoever would have guessed that they'd have had the run that they did. Now they're going against the Pittsburgh Penguins, who in 82 games had a record of 49, 29, and 4. 102 points. So it's only a 10-point difference in the standings, but it's the fact that you have a Pittsburgh Penguins team that is still a phenomenal team in the 90s. They won back-to-back Stanley Cups in 1991, 92. They won the President's Trophy in 93. So, they're still a really good team. And, they're still a contender because, they still have Lemieux and Jagr. With those two, you could have done damn near anything. But this young upstart Florida Panther team, yeah, they had some stuff that they wanted to prove. And they kind of did. They started off. They kind of made a statement in Game 1. Game 1, Florida. They get off to a good start. A minute 52 into the first period on the power play, it's Dave Lowry scoring unassisted to make it 1-0 Panthers. Then at 16:11 to make it 2-0 Florida, it is Tom Fitzgerald from Scott Mellanby and Robert Svela. Well, there's a name that hasn't been heard in a while. So that's 2-0. So it's 2-0 after the first period. Good start for the Panthers in game one of the conference final. Now, mind you, they are in Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh has home ice. Second period, Panthers make it 3-0. It is Tom Fitzgerald from Rhett Warrener and Scott Mellanby. 3-0 Panthers, and that's the score after 2 periods. So we're 2 periods in, and the Penguins, this high-powered Penguins team, they're getting shut down. So we get to the third period. Pittsburgh finally gets on the board. At 7:03, it is Kevin Miller? Yeah, I think it's Kevin Miller from Dave Roche and Chris Tamer. 3-1. But that's as close as they get. Because then at 15:41, it is Dave Lowry scoring his second goal of the game from Stu Barnes and Ray Shepard. 4-1. Oh, kids, I tell you. So it's 4-1. And then on the power play at 18:48, it is Scott Mellanby from Paul Laus and Rob Niedermeyer. That makes it 5-1, and that's the final. The Florida Panthers go into Pittsburgh and take game one emphatically, 5-1. Now, the goaltending performances, we have John Van Beesbrook, and in this one, it's Ken Reggett got the start in game one. John Van Beesbrook stopped 32 of 33 for a .970 save percentage. Pretty darn good. Ken Reggett stopped 20 of 25 for an .800 save percentage. So it's a 1-0 Panther lead. We go into the second period, We go into the second game, and Pittsburgh gets back in the series. There was no scoring in the first period, but in the second period, on the power play at 7:31, it is Sergei Zubov unassisted. So it's 1-0 Pittsburgh. Then the Penguins make it 2-0. On the power play at 13:57, it's Jaromir Jagr, the soon-to-be, hopefully, Hall of Famer, from Mario Lemieux and Peter Nedved. So 2-0 in favor of the Penguins after the second period. Then, in the third period, 29 seconds in, it is Ray Shepard from Ed Jovanovski and Dave Lowry. 2-1. It is 2-1. And so Florida get a chance, trying to getting back into the game, right? Well, at 8:12, it is Lemieux from Tamer and Nedved that gives the Penguins their 2-goal lead back. It's 3-1. Then the Panthers draw a little bit closer, but it's as close as they get. At 12:19, it is Bill Lindsay from Johan Garpenloff and Rhett Warrener. 3-2 is the score. 3-2 is the final. Pittsburgh holds on. John Van Beesbrook stopped 35 of 38 for a .921 save percentage. Tom Barrasso was back. He stopped 30 of 32. John Van Beesbrook had one heck of a series. And actually, Beesbrook had just a hell of a playoff. I mean, he really did. We'd always knew he was a good goaltender, but yeah, he really showed out in the 96 playoffs. So the series is tied at 1 apiece. So we go to game 3. Game 3 shifts back to Florida, which I believe at this time they were in Miami. They were still playing in Miami, Florida at the time. So game 3, Florida, they kind of regained that form from game 1. In the first period, a minute 46 in, it is Ray Shepard from Ed Jovanovski and Dave Lowry, 1-0 Florida. But then at 16:02, it is Brian Smolinski from Dave Roche and Glenn Murray, 1-1, a 1-1 tie. Then did I do that right? Yeah, I did. Okay. Then into the second period, so it's a tie game at 1 after 1 period. Then the second period comes around. 27 seconds in, the Penguins get the lead. It is Nedved from Yager, 2-1 Pittsburgh. But they can't hold that. They can't hold that lead. At 3:51, the Panthers tie it. It is Radek Dvorak from Paul Laus and Rob Niedermeyer. It's 2-2. That is the score after 2 periods. So we go to the third period. And Florida, this ends up being the game winner. Florida takes the lead, and they would not look back. 55 seconds into the third, it is Stu Barnes from Dave Lowry and Gord Murphy. So 3-2 for the Panthers. And then at 4:55, so just 4 minutes later, it's Stu Barnes again, scoring his second goal from Dave Lowry, makes it 4-2 Florida. And then at 7:37, it is Martin Straka from Murphy and Dvorak, 5-2 Florida. That is the final score. Now, this game was nuts. I looked back when I was looking at this, back at this on Hockey Reference, on hockeyreference.com. That's where I'm getting all my info from here. It's where I get all the info from all the series that I'm looking at. I had to look back at this because I'm like, this can't be right. Well, it's right. Tom Barrasso faced 61 shots. This is in regulation. This isn't an overtime game. 61 shots? Are you serious? I literally thought, I actually hit the refresh button. I thought this can't be right. Apparently 56 of 61 Barrasso stopped for a .918 save percentage. Van Beesbrook stopped 26 of 28 for a .929 save percentage. 61 shots without an overtime period. Wow. Yeah, I was kind of flabbergasted at that. But so the Panthers go up 2-1. Then we go into game 4. Pittsburgh again, they fight back. There's no score in the second period or the first period. We get into the second period. At 12:50, Panthers take the lead. It is Dave Lowry. So it's Lowry from Terry Karkner and Ray Shepard. It's 1-0. But, and that's the score after the second period. We get to the third period, and at 8:57, the Penguins tie the game. It is Brad Lauer from Nedved and Tamer. 1-1. Then at 16:29, the Penguins score what ends up being the game-winning goal. It is Smolinski from Lemieux and Zubov. It's 2-1. That is the final. The Penguins tie the series. Tom Barrasso stopped 32 of 33, not 22 of 23, 32 of 33 for a .970 save percentage. Absolutely insane. John Van Beesbrook did pretty well himself. Stopped 22 of 24 for a .917 save percentage. So yeah, Barrasso had the exact same amount of shots and saves as Van Beesbrook had in game 1. So we've got a 2-2 series tie. And so we go to game 5. And this is where I think a lot of people were thinking, all right, well, the Penguins are going to be going back to the final because Pittsburgh come out in game 5 and just looked incredible. In the first period, scoring for the Penguins, putting them on the board first on the power play, at 8:48, it is J.J. Daniel from Lemieux and Yager, 1-0 Penguins. That's the score after the first period. There was only one goal scored in each period. So, yeah, pretty easy there. One goal in the first, one in the second, one in the third. The guy who scores the goal in the second period took till later in the second period, but at 18:27 of the second period, it is Nedved from Yager and Smolinski, 2-0 in favor of the Penguins. Then, in the third period, into the empty net, at 18:42, it is Thomas Sandstrom from Lemieux and Daniel, 3-0 Penguins. The Penguins shut out the Panthers in Game 5. They take that all-important 3-2 lead. Penguins are on their way to the finals, right? Not so fast. Game 6. Oh, before we get into Game 6, I got to talk about the goaltenders. John Van Beesbroek stopped 36 of 38, a .947 save percentage. Tom Barrasso stopped all 28 shots he faced. So, great performance by, again, a great performance by both goaltenders. And again, Penguins, they're going to the finals, right? Florida Panthers would have a little something to say about that. Game 6. We get into Game 6, and the Panthers strike first in Game 6. At 7:45, unassisted, it's Scott Mellenby. 1-0 Panthers. Then we get into the second period. At 1:55, it is Miller from Roche and Smolinski. 1-1. Then, at 10:16, Pittsburgh takes the lead. It is Joe Dietzig. I think it's Dietzig. I think that's how you pronounce that. From Daniel and Zuboff. So it's 2-1 Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh got the lead. It's the second period. They're in control, right? Nope. At 14:56, the Panthers tie it. It is Lindsay from Fitzgerald and Svela, 2-2. That ends up being the score after 2 periods. Then the third period, at 9:35, the Panthers take the lead. It is Straka from Lindsay and Murphy, 3-2 Panthers. But again, Pittsburgh, they don't get down. Pittsburgh ties the game at 12:17. It is Sandstrom from Lemieux and Murray, 3-3. Then, about, minute and a half later? Yeah, around a minute and a half later, Rob Niedermeyer scores the game-winning goal from Terry Karkner, 4-3 Florida. That is the final. The Panthers hold on. They tie the series at 3 apiece. Tom Barrasso stopped 36 of 40 for a .900 save percentage. John Van Beesbroek stopped only 20 of 23 for an .870 save percentage. So, I mean, you're looking at a lot of these games. When you're looking at some of the saves, it's like, okay, Pittsburgh's supposed to be the better team, but man, was Florida out shooting them hardcore. So, we've got a 3-3 tie. Go back to Pittsburgh. So we're back in Pittsburgh for Game 7. Again, Penguins, chance to go to the Stanley Cup final on home ice. Yeah, that didn't happen. In the first period, at 13:13, it is Mike Huff from Svela and Skrudland, 1-0 Panthers. That is the score after the first period. There was no scoring in the second period. The third period, the Penguins, to their credit, they tie the game. At 1:23 on the power play, it is Nedved from Lemieux and Yager. So it's 1-1. But then at 6:18, what ends up being the game-winning goal, it is Tom Fitzgerald from Gord Murphy, 2-1 Florida. Then at 17:23, the icing on the cake, Johan Garpenloff from Lindsay and Fitzgerald, 3-1 Florida. That's your final. The Florida Panthers go to the Stanley Cup final for the first time in their franchise history. John Van Beesbrook stopped 39 of 40 shots for a .975 save percentage. That is sick. Then, on the other side, Tom Barrasso stopped 25 of 28 for an .893 save percentage. I don't put any of those on Barrasso. It's just, some about Cinderella stories. Cinderella stories are fun. And this was a Cinderella story for the Florida Panthers in their third year. Now, we know they would go to the Stanley Cup final. They would get swept. I wouldn't want to say they get trounced because, the games were, a couple of the games were relatively close. But, Florida, they go down in the final to the Colorado Avalanche in 4 straight, which ends up being the Avalanche's first Stanley Cup. And yeah, and then, of course, the Florida Panthers, they would go through a number of lean years, very lean years. And, they were a team that, even if they made the playoffs, they wouldn't be that great. They had, it was 2022. They win the President's Trophy. They actually win a round. Then they get bounced in the second round. 2023, nobody really expects anything of them. They barely make the playoffs. They literally make the playoffs all because the Pittsburgh Penguins could not figure out how to beat the lowly Chicago Blackhawks in one game. That's the only reason the Panthers made the playoffs in 2023. They made the most of it with an incredible run all the way to the Stanley Cup final, where they then lost to the Vegas Golden Knights. But then they would go back to the finals again in 2024, where they finally, third time's the charm, they finally win their first Stanley Cup in their franchise history, 30 years after entering the NHL. 27 years after their first trip to the Stanley Cup final, 27 years later, Panthers finally win the Stanley Cup. And but yeah, it was something special about this particular Panther team. Nobody expected much of them. They just had, it was a hell of a run. It was a hell of a run for them, and yeah, they definitely deserve to go to the final. They got their butts kicked in the final, but you know what? They got there. So let me know what you think. Give me your thoughts about this particular series. I know these little memorable series videos don't exactly get a whole ton of views, unfortunately, but I love looking at it. I love looking back at them, and yeah, let me know what you guys think. So hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Let all your friends know about let all your friends know. If you want to share this video or any other video from the channel, go right ahead. You can share with whoever you would like, with friends, family, whoever. And yeah, so the 1996 Eastern Conference Final, the Florida Panthers' first trip to the Stanley Cup Final. And yeah, that ends the memorable series for 1996. Again, let me know what you guys think in the comment section. Hit that like button, hit subscribe. I will see you guys again real soon.